Alrighty, how to buy a home in British Columbia, step-by-step guide. If you think buying a home in British Columbia is just get pre-approved, find a house, make an offer, you're about to make an expensive mistake. Because BC is not Alberta, it's not Ontario, and it's definitely not the US. We have property transfer tax, GST rules, speculation tax, foreign buyer restrictions, unique deposit structures, rural lending laws, strata bylaws that can destroy rental plans. And if you even miss one of these, it can cost you a lot of money, potentially thousands of dollars. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to buy a home in British Columbia, step by step. No fluff, no generic advice, just the real process. I'll keep it as simple as possible. Step one, understand the true cost of buying in BC. Most buyers only think about the down payment. That's the smallest surprise. In BC, you must account for property transfer tax, also known as PTT. Now, this dreaded tax is for everybody, unless you have a specific exemption. It's 1% on the first 200,000, 2% from 200 to 2 million, 3% above 2 million, 5% above 3 million. So for example, let's just back this up into real numbers here. On an $800,000 home, you're paying roughly $14,000 in PTT, property transfer tax. Unless, of course, you've qualified for first-time buyer exemption under certain thresholds. There's 5% federal GST applies on new builds, right? That's 40 grand on an $800,000 brand new home. Now there may be rebates, but not always. Legal fees now, $1,200 to $2,000 is typical. Inspections, $500 to $800. Appraisal, if you need one, it's going to cost you $300 to $600, and you need cash beyond your down payment to cover those little expenses. Step two, down payment. Rules in BC, minimum down payments, 5% on first 500,000, 10% on 500 to a million, 20% over a million. Under 20%, you're going to have to get mortgage insurance, which is CMHC or equivalent. Now, these things I just mentioned, you really want to talk to your banker, your mortgage broker about, because things change, are always changing. I can't cover them all here because I can't see into that crystal ball. Okay, so make sure you have a good conversation with them when you're doing your pre-approval. So in BC markets like Fernie, Sparwood, Cranbrook, Invermere, crossing the $1 million mark changes your required capital dramatically. That's why understanding price tiers matters. Step three, get pre-approved, but do it properly. There's a difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved fully underwritten. You want a rate hold, a clear max purchase price, clear monthly payment comfort zone, especially in rural BC where there's wells and septics on properties, acreages, and non-conforming built. Rental suites, lenders are going to scrutinize these more and more and more. Step four, choose the right market. BC is not one market. Okay, BC is not Vancouver. Fernie is a long way from Metro Van. And Metro Van behaves way different than the Kootenays. For example, Fernie is very lifestyle and tourism and limited land base. Sparwood is more industrial anchored and affordability. Cranbrook is a regional service hub. Invermere, lake lifestyle, and second home market. Each has a different liquidity, different rental rules, different buyer pools. And you need to understand your exit strategy before your entry strategy. Okay, step five, making an offer in BC. In British Columbia, most contracts use the standard contract of purchase and sale. You typically include subject to financing, subject to home inspection, subject to reviewing strata docs if they're applicable, subject to insurance, and deposits are going to usually be 5%, and you're going to put them down 72 business hours of acceptance of the offer. That will be held in trust. right? And it's refundable, okay, until you remove your conditions, and then it becomes non-refundable. So subject removal date is your point of no return. Once you remove your conditions, the deposit goes, like, you're locked in. There's no getting out now. Okay, step 6, subject removal and due diligence. Now, this is where deals quite often fail. Inspection findings, insurance refusals, strata regulation red flags, zoning conflicts, rental restrictions, especially in resorts like Fernie or lake markets like Invermere. You must read the bylaws carefully. Short-term rental assumptions have bankrupted people here. Step 7, closing process in BC. Well, lawyers, notaries, they handle the conveyancing here. You sign your mortgage documents, your transfer documents, title registration, and your lawyers will walk you all through this. The funds will actually also move lawyer to lawyer. Okay? So it all happens behind the scenes. You're just signing it. The lawyers are taking care of everything. And then on completion date, there's the money transfer. Okay? Possession date, you get the keys. Now, they're not always the same day. We try to make them on the same day. And you don't always know exactly what time of day they're going to happen. Okay? But we do our best. Step 8. After you own, you need to budget for your property taxes, your insurances, liabilities, utilities, strata fees, maintenance reserves. BC climate matters. Mountain climate especially. Roof loads, snow clearing, shoveling, drainage, ignoring maintenance could kill your resale value if you don't take care of your place. So some common mistakes. Number 1, buying at the top of your budget and stretching yourself so thin that you can't actually enjoy your life, your lifestyle that you're hoping for, or you just can't handle it. So don't do it, okay? Do it within your means. Not budgeting for PTT. I've been there once, right? Even though I've been doing this for 20 years. I did it once. Forgot all about it, never really. And then on closing day, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that puppy. Yeah, let's just say I'll never forget about it again. And that was years ago. That was back when I was in my 30s. So assuming rental income before verifying the bylaws, you need to figure out if you can't just Airbnb anything. You can't just short-term rental anything. Most communities are going to have certain rules that you have to abide by. So don't skip your inspection, okay? New houses, maybe there's some wiggle room there, but for the most part, you do not want to skip your inspections. Emotional overbidding in lifestyle markets. Yeah, don't get competitive. Well, unless you want to, but if you can't afford it, don't go beyond your means. And then ignoring liquidity risk, okay? Don't do that. Don't buy that weird place and then try to flip it in a year. That ain't gonna happen, okay? If you're buying something really unique, you need to really think about long term. So who should buy in 2026? Well, buy if you have a stable income. You're going to be there for 3 to 5 years. You're going to hold it all that time. You have an emergency fund or access to cash that, for those holy crap moments, when the furnace goes, the hot water tank goes, you need to replace the roof, you need to do stuff, right? You need to have some money in place to take care of those things. You need to have a clear reason for buying. You need to just be ready, really. So what if you're stretching, you need appreciation immediately, you're uncertain about location? Well, you might want to just hold on for a bit. So buying in British Columbia is not complicated. It's very structured, and the people who understand the structure win. So this is video 1 in a series I'm going to do over time here. The next one I'm going to do is how much home can you actually afford in the Kootenays. If you're thinking about buying in Fernie, Sparwood, Cranbrook, or Invermere, please book a buyer strategy call, because the smartest move that you're going to make is before you make your offer. Get smart. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Take care.